Today on the Bandrew Says podcast, I have no idea how this is going to go because I'm just answering a bunch of your questions. So go ahead and stick around, I guess. All right, I am scrolling through my notes and there is absolutely no news to discuss. There is nothing that I want to talk about because all the news is the same old, the world's burning down, the end is nigh, we're all gonna die, and I don't care. Let's all die in peace. Let's all die in silence. No need to make a big fuss about it. Jeez, so self-important. Oh, we're gonna die. Let's scream about it. No, let's just die like civilized people. Let's just embrace the sweet relief of death. Anyway, I'm back on the Gefell. I'm back on the Gefell mic. That's the only news. Back on the Microtech Gefell UMT-70S. I think I got the model number right. That was a really dark intro. If you have any dark thoughts, consider calling a hotline. There are plenty of them. And don't do anything drastic or stupid. Seek help. I'm going to seek help after this. Let's jump to what you had to say. First comment comes from Silver Fox. They say, it's little beta ears Bandrew. Yes, that is absolutely correct. I have little baby beta ears. Little baby beta beers Bandrew. Beta ears Bandrew. That's true. I like easy to listen to headphones. I don't like my headphones to make it sound as though I'm being stabbed in the ear with a knife. Beta ears Bandrew. I get it. Next comment comes from Rinse Resource. They say, Google needs to get out of the political business. Rinse Resource, thank you very much for the comment, and I agree. They do. Google does need to get out of politics, and so do all social media platforms, so do all companies. That does seem to be one of the most obnoxious things that I have come across recently. Every single company on social media has decided to become political and post political stuff, and I just say, I don't care what you think. You are a non-existent entity. Your opinion doesn't matter because the only reason you're saying anything political is because you believe it will improve your bottom line. You're not doing it because you believe in what you're talking about. You're not doing it because you think it will actually benefit society. You are only stating these opinions because you think it will improve sales or revenue for your company. Every single company needs to keep their stupid, idiotic mouths shut about politics. I hate every single company that does it, and I actively try to avoid supporting any company that posts about politics. If there is an alternative company to a product that I'm looking for that does not post anything about any politics, I will support them over the annoying company who won't shut their stupid mouths about politics. And that is my little way to stick it to the man. They lose one customer as though that's going to have any effect or impact on their bottom line. It's not going to put them in the red. They're still going to be in the black. They're going to be fine. It makes me feel better about my consumption habits. And honestly, it makes it so I'm not able to spend as much money. So win-win. I get to leave my money in the bank and earn 0.001%. It's a lose-lose situation. But going back to your comment, you state that Google needs to get out of the political business. I agree, like I said, but we also need to be realistic with our expectations and realize that's never going to happen. Google is never getting out of politics, Twitter is never getting out of politics, and Facebook is never getting out of politics. Why? Because they're able to influence political change and policy to ensure that they get the best legislation, that they get benefits that will put their competitors out of business while they continue to be able to thrive. It may be beneficial for society, it may be beneficial for everybody if Google, Facebook, Twitter, every social media platform, every search engine got their damn grubby mitts out of politics, but let's be frank, let's be honest, let's be realistic, it's not going to happen. But I agree. They do need to. They're just not going to. Next comment comes from the moderately annoyed Canadian. They say, what are your thoughts on the Facebook, quote, whistleblower, end quote, question mark? Well, moderately annoyed Canadian, I can say that my response will be taken as moderately political. People will interpret it however they want it, and they will get furious with me. Let me go ahead and say, I did not pay too much attention to this because I don't care about Facebook. I think Facebook is a net negative on society. I only log in maybe once every 3 months. I see comments, I see posts from people I know, and within 2 minutes I'm angry, so I log out for 2 more months. There's no good that comes from Facebook, in my opinion. But from what I saw, the entire quote-unquote whistleblower situation seems like nothing more than a political maneuver. Now, who is making that political maneuver? I have no idea. I don't know if it's Facebook trying to enact some kind of political change to get an outcome they want. I don't know if that's what it is, or I don't know if this quote-unquote whistleblower is an activist. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. But the reason that I'm leaning towards that is, unless I'm completely mistaken, which I very well may be, it's very likely that I'm completely misunderstanding and mistaken about what this entire situation is, but based on my understanding of it, the solution to the problem that was presented is more quote-unquote moderation, or what some folks would call quote-unquote censorship. That seems to be the solution that is being presented, saying, hey, we need the government to give us the authority to conduct even more censorship and moderation to ban this person and this person and this political leaning. I don't know if that's an accurate assessment of it. I don't care at this point, honestly. I think that all platforms should just moderate themselves out of existence, because I think that is the road that we're going down. I think that's the road that they have been going down. These are completely unusable and unfun and net drains on the people that use them. They used to be so much fun. They used to be really enjoyable to use. I was a very heavy social media user from 2003 to maybe 2015-ish. And then from 2015 to 2020, I was pretty heavy on social media. I was running a YouTube channel. Well, I'm still running a YouTube channel, but I was actively trying to grow my audience on all of these platforms. I had a Facebook page. I had multiple Instagrams and multiple Twitters, and I loved it. I was just pushing out content everywhere. I love this. This is so much fun. And starting in around 2015, maybe I'm the cause of it. Maybe I'm the cause of these platforms becoming terrible, but they have become less and less enjoyable to use. They have become more and more of an emotional drain. They are just terrible platforms to be on. And now I haven't really used Facebook in probably 2 years at this point. Twitter I was using up until maybe a month and a half ago, but it was having such a negative impact on me. Now I just stay logged out of it on all of my devices. I log in to post something and then sign right out. I don't care about the engagement. I'm just dumping stuff there. The only platform I use is YouTube, and even that, I don't stay logged into my main account because I can't stand getting these constant notifications. Hey, here's a comment. Here's what somebody's thinking about you. Here's some political stuff. I just stay logged in on a secondary account and use that so I don't get all these notifications and all of these analytics saying, hey, you're tanking. This is a terrible video. You suck. I don't like it. Social media is a terrible, terrible thing. It has gone so downhill over the last 5 or 6 years. And that's why I'm saying I think they should continue to go down these roads. Because they all think, we're too big to fail. People can't live without us. Well, I think you'll find that MySpace thought the exact same thing. I think you'll find that Tumblr thought the same thing. I think you'll find that LiveJournal and Friendster all thought the same thing. We're too big. People love us. We're never going to go out of... Yeah, keep it up. Keep moderating it and keep doing this crap where you're alienating half of your audience and then promoting all of this negative crap all the time because that's what gets engagement. Keep it up. I think they should never stop doing it. Drive people to the point where they become so disenchanted. That's not the right word. So nihilistic that they say nothing matters, not even social media, and then all of these companies will go out of business, nobody will be able to use them anymore, and then where are we? A bunch of people in the real world who do not have a 24/7 feed of negativity, doom, and gloom being piped right into their brain. It'll be beautiful. So ban everybody, social media companies. I am done saying, free speech, what? No, continue down this road. Ban everybody, ban all the conservatives, ban all the commies, ban everybody. It'll be beautiful. It's like, what's the term? Is it accelerationism? People were talking about accelerationism in terms of leading towards war. I'm an accelerationist in terms of social media companies destroying themselves. That's what I'm an accelerationist for. And I think we're on that road, and it's going to be beautiful. And now I'm sure a bunch of people are thinking, oh my God, he's a political party this and that and whatever. I don't care. I don't care what political party you think I'm a part of. It's all stupid and it's meaningless, so shut up. Let's go to my favorite part of the show. I just told people listening to my show to shut up. That's a really great way to garner favor with people who are being so generous to listen to you. Let's jump to my favorite part of the show, the Ask Bandrew segment. All right, welcome to the Ask Bandrew segment. If you have any questions that you want answered, go to askbandrew.com. There are instructions on how to send in audio, video, and text-based questions. I do like audio and video because then I don't have to read. I'm a stupid idiot. I don't know how to read, and I'm bad at it. Hence, I don't know how to read. So let's jump to the very first submission. This comes from Jay. Take it away, Jay.
Hey, Bandrew. Just want to show the kind of microphone that I'm using here. This is like some kind of $10 microphone from 5 years ago. I don't even know the brand anymore. But the question I wanted to ask is for streaming. HyperX Quadcast versus Elgato, and then I do want to use some kind of Rodecaster Pro or the GoXLR streaming deck, but then you talked about how it's pretty bad for music recording, and that's why maybe I should still use a different DAC, or should I still have a DAC for like general music listening experience, but with recording I still have this sort of equipment that sort of captures the vibration of the violin itself, and then maybe that can like go into sort of the recording software, or maybe this is sort of better used for sort of on stage live music playing and better not for recording music. Hopefully it's not too many questions or not too long, and thanks for answering my question. Bye for now.
All right. You say the GoXLR and Rodecaster are not good for music recording. Do you need a different DAC? Because that's what I said. And first, I want to clarify something. If I'm saying that the Rodecaster Pro, which I will refer to henceforth as RCP, and the GoXLR are not good for recording music, the DAC has no impact on that, because DAC, that stands for Digital to Analog Converter. And that means you're taking sounds on your computer, which are digital, and converting them to analog so you can listen to the playback of them. So DAC has no impact on these devices not being good for recording music. Now, the reason why I don't think they're particularly good for music, recording music, is because they don't have a feature set that is geared towards recording music. They don't even have a DI input. Now, if you have one of these devices, sure, you could theoretically record music on it, and I'm sure it would be more than sufficient. It would be more than fine. My suggestion would be just make sure you turn off all of the effects, because all of the effects, especially on the Rodecaster Pro, are geared towards spoken word. I'm pretty sure with the GoXLR, it's all geared towards spoken word. The RCP is for podcasting. The GoXLR is for streaming. They both just have an XLR input. They don't have a 1/4-inch line level input. None of that. So in theory, yes, you could just turn off all the effects. And before you buy one of these, realize you're going to be spending a bunch of money on features that aren't geared towards music. So if you are a music streamer, if you are just recording music, you don't necessarily need all of these sound pads. You don't need all of these built-in effects. You don't need all of these faders for all the programs that you have. You don't need 4 microphone inputs, or maybe you do. If you're recording a drum set, or if you have a room mic and you're micing up the neck of your violin and then the sound hole of your I don't know how you mic up violins. So maybe you do, but I highly doubt it. So in theory, yes, you could use one of these devices. I think you said you're leaning towards the GoXLR. You could use it to record music. You could use it while streaming. It will be perfectly sufficient. Is it going to be the greatest sounding recording or capturing of your violin ever? Probably not, because they don't necessarily have the greatest preamps or the greatest effects ever. But it will be more than sufficient. So I hope that answered your question, and the DAC has no impact on this whatsoever, because we're talking about audio capture as opposed to audio playback. You would be looking at a different ADC, analog to digital converter. Hopefully that gave you some insight. I think I got a bit rambly there. Next, we have an email, which I have to read, from Martin. Martin says, "Hi, have you ever seen an audio interface or mixer with 2, 4, or 8 ports with a built-in limiter to eliminate sudden loud speaks or coughs or any too loud things? A review could be nice. Kind regards, Martin or Martone." There are a few, but this is a very rare occurrence, a very rare thing to find. The only one of these devices that I have, actually 2 that I have found. The main one is the Centrance, what is this one called? I can't even remember what it's called. Centrance Mic Port Pro 2 XLR, something like that. This is just a single channel XLR interface. It's a portable interface. And this has a built-in limiter. Mike Delgadia did a review of this one. The other one, I've never used these, so I do not know how they perform, but the Roland Rubix series has a compressor and limiter built in. And then you have the new universal audio interfaces, which have a built-in 1176 style compressor, but it's not going to function as a limiter. And also, the GoXLR actually has a limiter in it. And then you have the Zoom recorders, which have limiters in it, but those are digital limiters. And I just thought about this, what are they called? Sound devices, MixPres 3 and MixPre 6. I believe those have limiters in them as well. Those may be digital limiters, but they also might be analog limiters. So look into those. Look into those 2 things, the MixPre 3 and 6, and then maybe the Zoom F4. I think those would have limiters because those are designed for field recording and film work where you do have really large dynamic ranges. So look into those. There you go. That would be my answer. After a bunch of searching around for some kind of answer. Next, we have a voice submission from Jesse. Take it away, Jesse.
Hi Bandrew. I picked up a HyperX Quadcast to finally upgrade from my gaming headset microphone since it seemed like a reasonably good microphone with an inoffensive sound as you mentioned in your review. The first thing I noticed is how stiff the elastic is on the shock mount. It seems like with so much tension it would do a poor job of isolating vibration, so I was wondering how much movement should your shock mount allow for best performance. I feel like replacing the bands could yield an improvement if it allows the microphone to move a little bit more. Thanks.
All right. Would replacing elastic bands on the HyperX Quadcast help much? How tight should the Shockmount's bands be? I do not know the answer to that. So I pulled out the HyperX Quadcast 4, and the elastic bands on the Shockmount are quite tight. There's no denying that. What if we just take one off? That doesn't affect the tension of any of the other bands. The design of the HyperX Quadcast mount is quite a pain in the butt because you're not able to easily or at all replace the elastic bands on it. And I was comparing the tension of the HyperX Quadcast 4's shock mount to the $300 Neumann one, and the Neumann is much looser. But if you loosen it too much, then you run into issues where you might have the interior portion of the shock mount bumping up against the metal of the exterior of the shock mount, which will cause, I don't know if you could hear that, metal on metal, and that does not sound good. And the HyperX Quadcast terms, it would be plastic on plastic. But I think there would be a couple of different factors in terms of the efficacy of the shock mount. First one would be the tension or how taut the elastic bands on the shock mount are. Second would be the material used for the elastic bands. I imagine different elastic bands have different acoustical properties. I could be completely wrong. I'm not a material scientist. I'm assuming here. And then lastly would be the material used for the actual shock mount, the hard parts of the shock mount. I imagine, again, let me reiterate, I'm not a material scientist. And scientists, I don't know how to even speak. How could I be a scientist when I can't speak? The different metals probably frickin' heck. Cussin' heck. I imagine that different metals have different acoustical properties. Therefore, shock mounts made with different metals or different materials that have different acoustical properties would react differently when they receive a shock. And basically what I'm saying is I have no idea. And on top of that, the HyperX Quadcast doesn't really appear to allow you to change the elastic straps or loosen the tension on them at all. Quite a difficult and pain in the butt design there, HyperX. Don't know why they did that. Hopefully that provided you some insight, but I can't see how it would have. Best of luck, Jesse. If you have decided to change the elastic bands, feel free to upload a video on YouTube. I would love to see how you did it, and I would love to see how it impacts the efficacy of shock rejection of the HyperX Quadcast. Thank you very much. Next, we have an email from, I'm going to redact the name because I'm going to be a little bit harsh. They say, I have a ART TPS2 preamp and a DOX compressor and a EQ, all unbalanced cable, but my signal not coming out so clearly. Would need a little help, please. Okay. Frankly, that is not enough information for me to go off of. And if you are seeking input and advice and technical whatever from me, you need to provide much more information. There are many different types of noise. It could be preamp noise. It could be EMI or RFI. It could be a ground loop. You need to be clear about what kind of issues you're running into if you want me to provide you any kind of assistance. The first thing I would say is, if you are able to, you should be using balanced cables, not unbalanced cables. That will eliminate or reduce the likelihood of getting radio frequency interference or electromagnetic interference into your recording. Other than that, I have no idea because you didn't provide enough information, so I wanted to include this to put out a PSA. If you are sending in a question asking a technical question where you want my input and assistance, provide sufficient information. Here is a recording of my microphone, which is the Gefell running into the ART TPS2 preamp. Here are all of my settings. Here is a photo. I am then running it over this type of cable into the compressor and an EQ. Here is a look at the rear of the devices so you are able to see the routing that I am doing. The cables are unbalanced, and here is the sound issue isolated that I am encountering. Can you please assist me in troubleshooting where this might be in the recording? There's an example of how you could potentially approach this? I don't know. And last, we have an email from Juan. He says, "Hi, how are you? I am very undecided about which microphone to buy for my home studio. They would come to record rappers and rappers. Rappers and rappers? I am between the Samson C03, PGA 181, Lewitt LCT 240, and the Behringer B1. Which one would you choose? Greetings from Argentina." Okay, let's jump back to past Bandrew because I did a quick test. Juan, thank you very much for the email. I apologize for it taking 3 months to get back to you, but finally I am answering. I am currently on the Samson C01, which is an XLR condenser microphone. I do not have the Shure PGA 181, so I'm unable to speak to that. I have no idea how that performs. I also do not have the Samson C03, so I cannot speak to that. The C01 is as close as we're going to get. But the reason for this is I'm going to switch to two of the other microphones that you mentioned, the Behringer B1 and the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro, so you can hear how they perform, and I will let you make up your own opinion about them, because that's what this is all about. Okay, this has been the Samson C01. Now we are on the Behringer B1. I'm around the same distance. My gain is at 1 o'clock. By the way, all of these are running into the Focusrite 18920 2nd Gen, and I can't really give you any kind of analysis because I'm monitoring this live, and that's not how you do good analysis of audio while you're speaking and hearing it back. Not a good way to do it, and I'm wearing a beanie because that's what I do. This is the Behringer B1. There you go. Let's jump to the Lewitt now. And lastly, we are on the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro. Same distance, same gain setting, same interface, same all of that. I will do my best to level match these, and okay, my AC did not turn on. There you go. That's just a quick rundown of the C01, the Behringer B1, and the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro. Now, before I say this next thing, I want to reiterate, you need to make the decision based on what you hear and what you prefer. With that being said, I personally would trust Lewitt over Behringer and Samson. The C01 or C03 and B1 are quite old designs, if I'm not mistaken, and the LCT 240 Pro is just a much more recent and up-to-date and technologically proficient microphone. And for rap, I know this is it's a hyper-detailed and hyper-articulate sound, which is not my favorite. I will say that. It's not my favorite sound, but for rap and hip-hop, when you're spitting a bunch of sick lines, homie, then you might need that articulation to help out, because you want people to be able to understand every word that you're saying. So I think that would make me lean a bit towards the LCT 240 Pro. Listen to the motorcycles outside. It's like the PCHers are coming for me. Uh-oh. Anyway, that's the conclusion here, and hopefully that helped. Juan, I hope you can decide on which one you like. I would lean towards the Lewitt LCT 240 Pro. Best of luck to you. All right. That's all I've got this week. This was a very weird episode, very random, very unprepared. Did you hear that mouth noise? That was disgusting, and I apologize. Now, I know some folks will probably listen to what I said and be furious. If you couldn't understand what I said, probably listen to what I said and interpret it as some kind of political agenda and get furious with me. To them, I will say, shut up. You are wrong. Don't be a dick. But on the other hand, if you are somebody who listened to that mouth noise and you became furious and you started seeing red and you wanted to punch me in the face, that I understand. But if you're trying to put some kind of political ideology on me and you think you got me found out, shut your stupid mouth. I don't care what you think. All right. That's it for this week. Why not just burn all the bridges? I appreciate you coming by and listening. I hope you do have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will continue to talk at you and continue to make more people angry for no reason whatsoever. So until next week, I appreciate you. I love you. Goodbye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.